I've been living in Ballymun now for over 30 years, so it means I came in when it was all brand spanking new, and we were all delighted with this new environment because, as you know, in the 1960s there was a great housing shortage all over Dublin, and it wasn't unusual for people to have got married and just went back to live in their own families till they had 2 or 3 or 4 children, so that they were eligible for a home. As well as that time, the tenements in Dublin were condemned, and so that made it bigger amount of people looking for homes. The housing crisis became, I suppose, really, really bad. I was in a place where you had to carry water to your home as well. Like, that was very evident in, you know what I mean, a lot of people had that same problem. So coming then to the flat was just, they still are luxury flats. It was advertised as the place to live, and the elite, where you were being kind of screened before you got in. And they wanted somebody in the family to be working. That was a big, big difference to what it is now. The flats were just brilliant because I got a 3-bedroom flat. I had 3 children. The kids thought it was great. They wanted to know that they own all this space. The excitement that went on, like, you know. So we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe ourselves that we had in such luxury now at this point. We were led to believe that it was going to be state-of-the-art place, the place to live. We were near the airport. You were, there was a lot of things going to happen. But unfortunately, as I say, they built all the homes and not the facilities to go along with the homes.
Instead of Ballymun becoming the vision of reality, it became a state of shame. It became an embarrassment to the city managers and the government. Also around in the 80s, and it's a factor I don't think we can overlook, was the housing policies that they brought in. It was the first time home buyers grant for £5,000. And that actually caused an exodus in Ballymun. We lost a lot of our community leaders, so the social mix started to change rapidly. I think it's only now that we're in the 90s that we can actually see the destruction that the housing policy of the 80s has actually caused. You can't have or establish a community spirit with transient population, and that made the community very, very vulnerable. People initially were selected to move in here, and then what happened was policy changed and just became an area to house people and to get them off the housing list. And that was another policy I don't think was ever taught out. And not allowing like that richness, that expansion to grow. The shopping centre as it is now is a refurbished shopping centre. But within that there's 1 supermarket, there's 2 second-hand clothes shops. There's not choice or variety for people. I had tax designated area status, and that was to attract new businesses in. Where's the new businesses? It's like the old AA saying, is that when you hit rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. And Ballymun would be a living example of that. And people really had to fight for what they wanted. They had to fight for the shopping centre, the swimming pool. In a lot of cases, they had to fight for basement flats so they could run youth clubs. Ballymun is a highly dense populated area and a very small space. There's a serious lack of facilities. Initially, if you go back to the original plans for Ballymun, included was a library, a swimming pool, dance halls, gymnasiums, a bowling alley. What actually happened was a lot of these amenities never came to be. The Youth Action Project was established in 1981 after 300 people died from drug-related deaths. We came into existence because there was no other service available. It was established by local people. There's always been a policy of recruiting and training local people. And out of our staff of 14 today, there are 7 of them who are from the Ballymun area.
It's a community-based programme. It's a community-based organisation. There's a mixture of professionals and ordinary people from the area. The Youth Action Project works with the parents, it works with the people that are affected with the drugs. And this is where the Youth Action Project comes into its own. This is where it's unique. There's no fear down along the line that the person affected by the drug is going to be turfed out. There's an organisation there, there's a project there working with them and their parents. We believe that drug addicts can and do recover. Families do not have to cope on their own. The local community is the most effective place for recovery. YAP provides a range of services which include advice, referral and information, one-to-one counselling, parent support groups, contact time, family support, inner journey courses, outreach, prison visits and home visits.
The Youth Action Project have had numerous struggles for funding over the years. There was times when we couldn't pay staff salaries because a particular government agency might have said, "Oh, you've got to sign a particular contract." And, and it mightn't have been what the management committee at the time agreed to here. Mobile control, then support.
Looking at the work that must be done, caring for the ones who stare the sun, remembering.
In the 70s there was a very small drug scene in the city. Most drugs at that time were stolen from chemist shops by people who were using them. By 1983 there was a huge heroin epidemic in Dublin. Ballymun was different. Ballymun had a different culture. The IV drug using population in Ballymun was very small, was very limited to, I would say, 30 people. It was mainly cough bottles, prescription tablets. Syringes weren't freely available. And this led in the centre of the city and in all the flat complexes to an explosion of HIV within the city. But that didn't happen to the same extent in Ballymun because there was less people using intravenously. One of the people that I sang the song about, Christy Campbell, he went in. I met him 3 days before he went into Mountjoy, and he looked absolutely dreadful. He was like the Walking Dead, and he was a young man. And he was telling me that he'll get better when he goes into Mountjoy because he'll be eaten and he'll be looked after and stuff like that. But we brought Christy Campbell out of Mountjoy in a box.
I'll get well in the joy. And he showed me his poems, and he sang a few songs. We talked about righting the things that were wrong. But Christy, the pair of us, nobody knew what would come. What would come.
There were services. There was Jervis Street, a detox unit in Jervis Street, and I think they had 8 beds, 10 beds maybe, for the whole of the country. I know many people who died because they had done 2 detoxes or 3 detoxes, and that was your limit, you see. It was the kind of black box kind of effect. You go in, you should come out cured, and if you didn't come out cured, it was too bad. There was a complete denial of the situation by the government. And it's only recently that we've realised that we're reaping the harvest of that denial, Heroin users have become younger. It's endemic now, it's everywhere kind of now. I think what we're doing now is the right way. That we're targeting young people. We're introducing short interventions, preventative work. The preventative work that needs to be done, and I think drug work needs to become more attractive, more sexy. I think that there's a place for creativity, in young people's culture, music, art, drama, all of those. I don't think we've used those elements. I think the drug work that has gone on in the past has been more adult orientated, more coming from adults to young people. I don't think we've taken on board that young people have a culture, and it's a valid culture. And I think by combining those elements that we have a good chance of making a dent in it. I don't think it will ever go away, I don't think it will ever go away.
There are over 100 community and voluntary organisations based in Ballymun, ranging from sports, youth clubs, job initiatives, the Job Centre, the Ballymun Housing Task Force, the Credit Union, the Community Action Programme. All these initiatives are by the community coming together with determination, willingness, good spirit and commitment to improve the area where they live in. It's also identifying a need or a gap and by services that are not being provided. When we use the term community response, it's not about a service being provided to the community, it's about a service being owned by the community, and that we all have a role in playing and responding. Ballymun Job Centre, when that was established over 10 years ago, that was by the community coming together, recognising there was a need. One of the reasons why the Youth Action Project was set up was that it was a community response. There was no service in the area for drug users or their families, and the community came together to be a response to the need of the community. Likewise, the same happened through the Ballymun Community Coalition, which is where members of the community came together. They established in 1984. In 1985, Van Cavan pulled out, and they formed a lobby group and campaign. A lot of the initiatives that have been set up through the Ballymun community are like the likes of the Job Centre, the Credit Union, the Community Action Programme, the Links Project, numerous tennis associations, numerous football clubs, sports clubs and youth clubs. A lot of the community groups in Ballymun arose from a need that was not being provided, and it was like out of powerlessness came power. When they seen that nobody else was doing it, they decided themselves they had to do it. An awful lot of people very quietly walking away. A lot of the positive work that's actually never seen. There's an awful lot of positivity in Ballymun. Not every child in Ballymun is a drug user or has used drugs. Not every family in Ballymun is disadvantaged.
And what I see is the regeneration of the moment. They maintain that Ballymun is not going to have any problems once all the flats come down and the houses are built. I don't think that is what's going to happen. The problem is still going to be here. For every problem that we have had in Ballymun, there's always been a great community response. I fear for where they're all going to go, all these agencies. The drug situation's not going to go in Ballymun. We need more help. The community do respond great. A lot of us are in training. A lot of us have done the Community Addiction Studies course with the Youth Action Project, plus further training in community drugs work. There's over 200 people gone through them courses, and it's fantastic. I would be very concerned for the future of the children of Ballymun. I don't think the regeneration, taking down the flats, is going to be the answer to the prayer that they're promising. It's not.
To grow up healthy and happy in Ballymun, I need playgrounds, new football pitches, new houses, trees, new horses, gardens, stables, new trees. Said that. New shopping centres, new libraries, new swimming pools, new schools.
Now there's an awful lot of talk going on at the moment about the regeneration and all of these promises. I'm listening to these promises again. Maybe I'm a pessimist, but I just haven't got too much faith in their promises because of what went on before. And I would think unless they build the facilities alongside the homes, we're going to have the very same thing in another few years down the line.